Okay, so today we're talking about how to make your BMW last literally forever. A lot of people aren't real good with taking care of their BMWs, and we can see that, guys, because stuff's for sale all the time. It's all broken and run down. A very top thing you need to consider. You could buy a Honda Civic and leave it outside in the sun and the snow and the rain. You could buy a Toyota Camry or Corolla and do that too. It'll last for a while. It will eventually get ruined by the weather. A BMW does not like to be outside at all, especially in nasty weather. It definitely accelerates the breakdown of all the plastics on the inside and outside. It also accelerates the breakdown of the engine plastics, extreme temperatures. Whenever we have a N52 coolant pump fail, it's always because it's the hottest day of the year. It's pumping its guts out. So there is that. Also brittle plastic in the cold winter. If you live somewhere it gets 0 degrees like it does here, and you go try to wrench on stuff's gonna break very easily, especially interior parts and little fragile pieces. Everything here we try to keep inside all the time. Now, I don't have a shop the size of Walmart, so we can't keep everything in 100% of the time. But you can see here, we kind of keep everything holstered up. We got our Porsche over there. Our red Porsche is outside at the minute, but it's not real hot or real cold here. So we don't worry so much about getting everything back inside immediately. But in the summertime, or if it was 0 outside, everything would be in here all the time. And that's some of the reason why I wanted to downsize a little bit, so we could keep everything inside with no issue. So there is that. The next thing is going to be maintenance to make your BMW last forever. Maintenance is key on these. They are not cars to be put off in the maintenance. If you hear a weird noise, something going on, you better pull over and figure it out, or it'll figure it out for you, and not in a good way either. But it's not just BMW. Mercedes stuff's like that. The Porsche stuff's like that. All the German stuff's like that. Our Japanese cars we have here tend to run a little longer with a little bit of neglect, but still, you're still doing damage to other things and all that. And that's, I would say, the second biggest thing. The next one is going to be extremely rough roads. And we're lucky here in Missouri. We don't have really bad roads. Certain towns have worse roads than others, this or that. A lot of you guys like Illinois is like that. We went to Mississippi, it was horrible. Anywhere in New England, the roads are horrifying. That's going to take out your control arms, your struts. It's going to ruin all that stuff real quick. I understand there's nothing you could do about it. And it doesn't matter if you're driving a BMW or anything else. It seems like it will run the BMW a little faster. They're made to ride a little smoother, a little more comfortable, a little more quieter. So they have more bushings, more stuff going on underneath of them. And, just the same way our Scion XB, we run that to like the parts store, Lowe's, things like that. It's not a comfortable car to drive on the highway. It's loud, it's rough, it's, when you're running 80 on the highway, it feels like you're going 180. It serves the purpose. When you get into one of the Porsches or one of the bigger BMWs, it's just quiet and smooth, right? And that's what you're paying extra money for. And, a lot of you guys run Ford, Chevy, Dodge stuff. That's not quiet or smooth. If you have a big giant car, maybe it is, but that's a whole nother story. We'll get into a different video. And these cars, you let them sit out even a little bit. If they're red or bright yellow, they should not be outside at all, only when you're driving them. If you live at somewhere there's no garage, you work somewhere, you have to park it outside, that's a problem. I would say if you live where there's a garage and you have a really nice car and you're daily driving a nice car to work where there's no garage, you're not going to have a nice car very long. If you want to keep a car nice, the only way you could do that is not drive it every day. It's just the way it is. No matter what make or model it is, that seems to be the thing. If you have a noise, I'll come back to this too. If you have a noise, you have an issue, figure it out quickly. If it sounds like something terminal, pull over. Don't just keep driving it. And the other thing is, if you're overheating and you're 3 miles from your house, you're not making it home. Pull over immediately as soon as you see it and turn the engine off. you'll save the engine. Some of these cars we have here have $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 engines. If we are out somewhere on the interstate and I see the gauge in the red, I reach over and turn the key off. That's it. We don't try to get anywhere. We don't try to just one more exit. It might make it there. It might sound fine. And then you get home the next morning or get up the next morning and go to start it and the engine's locked up or it's knocking. And just very common sense things. Look at your tires. Just look at everything on the car. Be aware there's no water intruding in the car. As we saw yesterday on the Porsche, we were doing all the lines on the Porsche. It probably had, we don't even know how many quarts of oil in the coolant because somebody never checked it. So somebody was driving it for a long time until it got to be so severe, something, overheated or whatever happened before they noticed it. Most of the time with the cars here, the G-Wagon, everything, we check the oil and coolant and that stuff all the time. If I want to go, especially anywhere more than a few miles from the house, we always check the tires. If the car does not have a digital display for the tire pressure, we'll check everything. We get a little bit behind on the Toyota Sequoia because it's been so reliable, but getting behind on something like that, that's when it'll bite you. It'll bite you very hard. So if you don't have thousands of dollars for a different engine, you best be checking all your fluids, best be doing all that. Paint-wise, we use that CMX, that ceramic coating. We use that on everything all the time. And the black cars, almost every time they get driven, they have to get cleaned with that. The G-Wagon's been driven 5 or 6 times, not been cleaned. All that means when we go to clean it, it's going to be 10 times harder to clean. And once you drive it on the road, a black car or a dark car, they're just dust, there's stuff, anything at all flings up all over it, it becomes a huge mess. For the guys that say, well, I've had this car for 20 years, the rain will wash it, right? There's no reason to put wax on it. And you look at their car and all the clear coat's coming off of it and everything's broken down. Yeah, the CMX, products like that, any kind of spray wax, is the only thing between your car's paint or the clear coat and the sun. A lot of people think because the car has clear coat on it, oh, I don't have to touch it. That's just not the case. And the bright colored cars are going to fade rapidly in the sunlight. It doesn't matter what brand it is. If it's a Ford, Chevy, or Dodge, and you think they don't do that, they'll do it quicker than a more expensive car a lot of times. Any kind of yellows, any kind of bright greens, it just can't be in the sun for a very long amount of time or it's going to be all faded. And to make that worse, if you pull your car out of your garage or sit in your driveway, it gets the evening sun all the time on one side. My old neighbor just had that problem with a Chevy. The one whole side was all faded and deteriorating. The other side was like brand new. So that's the last thing that you want. Then you're into a whole repaint just to get everything to match if it's metallic or a tri-coat or something crazy. And a lot of more expensive cars are a crazy paint job that you can't just fix a little panel on. So a lot of guys don't like black cars. I like black cars. Yeah, you got to clean them all the time. But if something happens, there's nothing to match. Black is black. It doesn't fade. You could take a fender off of this or a door off of this and respray it and it looks perfect. And if it's a red car, that's not the case. You have to paint that panel. You have to blend into it. So there's a lot going on to keep your BMW in perfect running condition. Using quality parts, that's getting more difficult to do. Everything looks real, but everything's Chinese, it seems like. And now we're having the problem with the Victor Ryan stuff. It said it's made in Slovakia. When we get the kits in, the gasket kits, they don't fit quite right. Gonna find out. A lot of that's being outsourced to China. Same with Bear, Hella, all those companies, Mall or Molly, whatever you want to call it. Those guys too. So we're at a tipping point with car parts where quality parts are getting extremely difficult to get. Even if they are the genuine name brand stuff, it's getting to be where sometimes that's not good enough to make the car run for a while. And you see that with new stuff. That's why you see a lot of new cars having all these issues. They have the same deal. But that's going to be it, guys. I'm not going to bore you to death with all the details. That's how you keep your BMW up and running and in premium condition and not let it go to hell like a lot of people do. That's it. We'll see you very soon. Have a good day.